Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to stand before you today to discuss an issue that transcends borders, cultures, and generations, the choice between war and peace. In a world that is increasingly interconnected, yet fraught with divisions, the message I share today is simple but profound: avoid war. Choose peace. The urgency to avoid war and choose peace has never been greater. We must act now before the seeds of conflict grow into battles that no one can win. We must act now with the understanding that peace is not just the absence of war, but the presence of love, unity, and understanding. War is one of the most destructive forces in human history, and its devastating consequences reverberate long after the battles have ended. Whether through large-scale global conflicts or localized civil wars, the toll on humanity is immeasurable. The physical destruction wrought by war is often the most visible, with bombed cities, ruined infrastructure, and devastated landscapes. However, the scars of war run much deeper, affecting every aspect of life, from the individual level to the global community. It is critical to understand the full scope of these consequences to fully grasp why avoiding war and choosing peace is essential for humanity's future. The immediate impact of war is the most glaring: the loss of human life. In war, the death tolls often climb into the thousands, if not millions, leaving behind grieving families and communities. The lives lost are not just those of soldiers on the battlefield, but also civilians who are caught in the crossfire, victims of indiscriminate bombings, or casualties of famine and disease exacerbated by conflict. In modern warfare, the distinction between combatants and non-combatants has become increasingly blurred, and civilians often bear the brunt of the violence. They are killed, displaced from their homes, or forced to live in constant fear, their lives forever changed by the trauma of conflict. But the loss of life is only the beginning. War leaves behind a generation of wounded and disabled individuals, many of whom face lifelong physical and psychological challenges. Soldiers who return from war often struggle with physical injuries such as amputations, burns, and other disfigurements. In addition to these visible injuries, there are the less obvious but equally debilitating psychological scars, such as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Veterans and civilians alike who have experienced the horrors of war often face long-term mental health struggles, ranging from anxiety and depression to more severe disorders that can affect their ability to lead normal lives. War also tears apart the social fabric of societies. Communities that were once closely knit can be shattered by the violence and division that war brings. Families are often separated, with members displaced or killed. Children, the most vulnerable in society, are particularly affected. Many children are orphaned or forced to flee their homes, often becoming refugees in foreign lands where they face additional hardships. The trauma of war leaves deep psychological scars on these young minds, affecting their development and potentially leading to cycles of violence that perpetuate future conflicts. Education, a cornerstone of any society, is also severely impacted by war. Schools are often destroyed, and teachers and students alike are displaced or killed. In conflict zones, children are frequently denied the opportunity to pursue an education, leading to a lost generation of young people who lack the knowledge and skills necessary to contribute to the rebuilding of their societies. The long-term effects of this are profound. A lack of education hinders economic growth, increases poverty rates, and makes it more difficult for post-conflict societies to recover. In addition to the human cost, the economic consequences of war are staggering. War destroys infrastructure, from roads and bridges to hospitals and factories, crippling the economic systems that societies rely on to function. The rebuilding process is often slow and costly, requiring enormous financial resources that many war-torn countries simply do not have. This leaves them dependent on international aid, which is not always sufficient to meet the enormous needs of post-conflict reconstruction. In the aftermath of war, economies can take years or even decades to recover, leaving populations in poverty and making it difficult for them to move forward. The environmental impact of war is another significant but often overlooked consequence. The use of heavy artillery, bombing campaigns, and chemical weapons devastates ecosystems, contaminates water sources, and destroys agricultural land. The long-term damage to the environment can lead to food shortages, water scarcity, and the displacement of entire populations who can no longer live off the land. In addition, the environmental damage caused by war contributes to broader global challenges such as climate change, which only exacerbates the suffering of those living in conflict zones. The displacement of people is a defining characteristic of modern warfare. War forces millions of people to flee their homes, creating massive refugee crises that strain the resources of neighboring countries and the international community. Refugees often face terrible conditions in camps where they are vulnerable to disease, malnutrition, and violence. The psychological toll of being uprooted from one's home, often without the prospect of return, is immense. The trauma of displacement can last a lifetime, and for many, the dream of returning to a peaceful home is never realized. At a broader level, war undermines global stability and fosters international tensions. Conflict often spills over borders, drawing in neighboring countries and sometimes sparking regional or even global conflicts. The instability caused by war can lead to the proliferation of arms, including weapons of mass destruction, which pose a threat not only to the immediate region but to the entire world. Additionally, war can breed resentment and hatred among different ethnic, religious, or political groups, fueling further violence and making reconciliation and peace-building efforts more difficult. Beyond the tangible costs of war, there are also the moral and ethical consequences to consider. War desensitizes individuals to violence and cruelty, eroding the values of compassion, empathy, and respect for human life. The normalization of violence during war can lead to atrocities such as genocide, war crimes, and other violations of human rights. When societies are embroiled in conflict, they often sacrifice their moral compass in pursuit of military victory, leading to long-term damage to the collective conscience of nations. In conclusion, the devastating consequences of war are far-reaching and multifaceted. War destroys lives, tears apart communities, stunts economic growth, and leaves lasting scars on individuals and societies alike. The environmental damage, refugee crises, and undermining of global stability further compound the suffering caused by conflict. While the immediate effects of war may be measured in terms of death and destruction, the long-term consequences are equally profound and, in many cases, irreversible. This is why it is imperative for humanity to avoid war and choose peace. Peace, though difficult to achieve, is the only path that offers the potential for healing, growth, and a better future for all. Peace is one of the most powerful forces in human society, offering benefits that ripple across individuals, communities, and nations. While the absence of war is an essential aspect of peace, true peace goes much deeper. It is a state of harmony, justice, and cooperation that allows human potential to flourish in ways that war and conflict can never permit. The benefits of peace are vast, touching every part of life: social, economic, psychological, and environmental. To fully appreciate the importance of peace, it is necessary to explore the profound and far-reaching impact it has on the world. At the most basic level, peace provides the foundation for personal safety and security. In times of peace, individuals are free to go about their daily lives without the fear of violence or harm. This sense of security allows people to focus on their personal development, their families, and their communities. Without the constant threat of conflict, individuals can pursue education, work, and other opportunities that enrich their lives. Children, in particular, thrive in peaceful environments where they can attend school, play, and grow up without the trauma of war. Peace creates the conditions for stable families and healthy communities, which are the building blocks of a prosperous society. Peace also fosters social cohesion and unity. In peaceful societies, people are more likely to cooperate with one another, regardless of their differences in ethnicity, religion, or political beliefs. When conflict is absent, there is space for dialogue, understanding, and mutual respect to grow. This social harmony promotes a sense of belonging and shared purpose, encouraging individuals to work together for the common good. Peaceful societies are better equipped to address challenges like inequality and injustice, as they can focus on building systems that promote fairness and inclusion rather than being consumed by violence and division. In such environments, human rights are more likely to be respected and social progress can be made. Economically, the benefits of peace are immense. War and conflict drain resources, destroy infrastructure, and disrupt trade. In contrast, peace allows for the steady growth of economies as governments and businesses can focus on development rather than defense. In peaceful societies, infrastructure like roads, schools, hospitals, and communication networks can be built and maintained, contributing to higher standards of living. Economic stability leads to job creation and investment, which in turn reduces poverty and improves quality of life for everyone. Investors are more likely to put their money into countries that are stable and peaceful, as they offer a safer and more predictable environment for business. This economic growth creates a positive cycle where peace leads to prosperity and prosperity helps sustain peace. Furthermore, peace creates opportunities for education and intellectual development. In times of conflict, schools are often destroyed or closed, and teachers and students are displaced or killed. In peaceful times, education systems can thrive, giving young people the chance to learn, grow, and develop the skills they need to contribute to society. Education is not only important for personal growth, but also for the overall development of a nation. A well-educated population is better equipped to innovate, solve problems, and drive economic and social progress. Moreover, peace allows for the free exchange of ideas and knowledge, fostering creativity and innovation. Universities, research institutions, and think tanks can collaborate across borders, working together to solve global challenges like climate change, disease, and poverty. The psychological benefits of peace cannot be overstated. War and conflict leave deep emotional scars, often causing trauma that affects individuals for years or even a lifetime. Peace, on the other hand, provides the conditions for mental well-being and emotional stability. People living in peaceful societies experience less stress and anxiety, as they do not have to worry about the constant threat of violence or displacement. This psychological security allows individuals to focus on their personal and professional goals, leading to greater happiness and fulfillment. Peaceful societies also tend to have lower rates of mental health issues like depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, as the absence of violence contributes to overall emotional health. Environmentally, peace plays a critical role in preserving the planet. War often leads to the destruction of natural resources, pollution, and the degradation of ecosystems. In peaceful times, societies can focus on environmental conservation and sustainable development. Peace allows governments and organizations to implement policies that protect forests, rivers, and oceans, ensuring that these resources are available for future generations. Additionally, peace enables cooperation between nations on global environmental challenges such as climate change and biodiversity loss. When countries are not preoccupied with conflict, they can work together to develop solutions that benefit the entire planet. Peace also fosters cultural exchange and mutual understanding. In times of peace, people are free to travel, communicate, and interact with those from different cultures and backgrounds. This exchange of ideas and experiences enriches societies, promoting tolerance and reducing prejudice. Cultural exchange in peaceful times helps break down stereotypes and fosters a sense of global citizenship where individuals see themselves as part of a broader, interconnected world. Peace encourages the celebration of diversity and the appreciation of different perspectives, which can lead to more inclusive and vibrant societies. On a global scale, peace contributes to international stability and cooperation. In a peaceful world, nations can work together to address global issues like poverty, disease, and terrorism. International organizations like the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and the International Monetary Fund are better able to function and provide support when the world is at peace. Global cooperation is essential for tackling challenges that no single nation can solve alone, such as pandemics, climate change, and refugee crises. Peaceful relations between nations also reduce the likelihood of future conflicts, as countries that cooperate and build strong diplomatic ties are less likely to go to war. In addition to these tangible benefits, peace carries an inherent moral and ethical value. Peace aligns with the principles of compassion, empathy, and respect for human dignity. It represents the highest ideals of humanity, where individuals and nations seek to resolve their differences not through violence, but through dialogue and understanding. Peaceful societies reflect the belief that every human being has the right to live free from fear, oppression, and violence. In choosing peace, we affirm the sanctity of life and the potential for every person to contribute to the betterment of the world. In conclusion, the benefits of peace are profound and far-reaching. From personal safety and social harmony to economic prosperity, psychological well-being, environmental preservation, cultural exchange, and global cooperation, peace touches every aspect of life. It creates the conditions necessary for individuals, communities, and nations to thrive and prosper. While achieving and maintaining peace can be challenging, the rewards it offers make it an essential goal for humanity. Peace is not only the absence of war, but the presence of justice, compassion, and opportunity. By choosing peace, we choose a future where everyone has the chance to live, grow, and succeed. Peace is often viewed as an abstract concept, something that exists when there is no war or conflict. However, peace is much more than the absence of violence. It is a positive, dynamic state that requires constant effort, vigilance, and a shared sense of responsibility. Achieving and sustaining peace involves everyone, governments, communities, and individuals alike. It is a collective responsibility requiring cooperation and engagement at all levels of society. This responsibility is not limited to leaders or international organizations, but extends to every individual, as each of us plays a crucial role in shaping a peaceful world. Understanding peace as a collective responsibility highlights the importance of collaboration, empathy, and action in building a more harmonious world. At the level of governments and leaders, the responsibility for peace is significant. Political leaders are often the key decision makers in issues of war and peace, as they have the authority to negotiate treaties, resolve conflicts, and engage in diplomacy. Their choices can either promote peace or exacerbate tensions. This is why leadership rooted in a commitment to peaceful resolution of disputes is critical. Governments must prioritize diplomacy, dialogue, and collaboration over aggression and unilateral actions. When conflicts arise, the emphasis should be on finding solutions through negotiation rather than resorting to violence. Leaders have a duty to uphold international law, respect human rights, and engage in peaceful relations with other nations. Furthermore, national governments play a vital role in maintaining peace within their own borders. They are responsible for ensuring that justice is upheld, that citizens are treated fairly, and that inequality is addressed. Often, internal unrest and violence are the result of systemic injustices, corruption, or marginalization of certain groups. By creating inclusive societies where everyone feels heard, valued, and respected, governments can reduce the likelihood of internal conflict. Ensuring access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities for all citizens is an essential part of building a peaceful society. A peaceful nation is one where the rule of law prevails and citizens trust that their rights and freedoms will be protected. International organizations also have an important role in fostering global peace. Institutions like the United Nations (EU) and the African Union (AU) and the European Union (EU) were established in part to promote peace and prevent conflicts between nations. Through peacekeeping missions, conflict resolution initiatives, and humanitarian aid, these organizations work to stabilize regions affected by violence and war. The UN in particular has played a critical role in mediating international conflicts, providing a platform for dialogue, and supporting countries in their efforts to rebuild after war. However, these organizations depend on the cooperation and commitment of member states to succeed. Countries must honor their international obligations, support peacekeeping efforts, and contribute to global peace-building initiatives. While the actions of governments and international organizations are crucial, peace is not something that can be imposed from above. True peace is built from the ground up through the efforts of communities and individuals. At the community level, peace begins with fostering understanding, tolerance, and respect among people of different backgrounds. Community leaders, local organizations, and civil society groups play a vital role in promoting social cohesion and addressing the root causes of conflict. By engaging in dialogue, mediation, and conflict resolution at the local level, communities can prevent small disputes from escalating into larger conflicts. Grassroots peace-building initiatives such as local peace committees, interfaith dialogues, and community education programs are essential for creating environments where peace can thrive. Education, in particular, is a powerful tool for promoting peace. Schools and educational institutions have the responsibility to teach young people the values of empathy, cooperation, and nonviolence. Through education, future generations can learn how to resolve conflicts peacefully, appreciate diversity, and understand the importance of justice and equality.
Education for Peace goes beyond the classroom. It includes community education programs that raise awareness about human rights, social justice, and environmental sustainability.
When individuals are equipped with knowledge and critical thinking skills, they are more likely to engage in peaceful dialogue and reject violence as a means of solving problems. The media also plays a significant role in shaping public perceptions of peace and conflict. Journalists and news outlets have a responsibility to report on conflicts accurately and fairly, avoiding sensationalism and bias that can inflame tensions. The media can contribute to peace by highlighting stories of reconciliation, collaboration, and peaceful coexistence. By showcasing positive examples of peace-building efforts around the world, the media can inspire individuals and communities to take action in their own contexts. On the other hand, irresponsible media coverage that perpetuates stereotypes or promotes divisiveness can contribute to conflict. Therefore, ethical journalism that promotes peace and understanding is an essential part of the collective responsibility for peace. Religious and cultural leaders also have an important role in promoting peace. Many religious traditions emphasize the importance of compassion, forgiveness, and nonviolence. Religious leaders can use their influence to promote messages of peace, tolerance, and reconciliation. In conflict-prone regions, interfaith dialogues and collaborations between religious groups can help bridge divides and reduce tensions. Cultural leaders, including artists, writers, and musicians, also contribute to peace by using their platforms to promote understanding and challenge narratives of hatred and division. Through art, literature, and cultural exchange, people from different backgrounds can come together and find common ground. At the individual level, each person has a role to play in building peace. Peace begins with our actions, words, and attitudes toward others. Practicing empathy, kindness, and patience in our daily interactions can contribute to a more peaceful society. Individuals can also take an active role in promoting peace by engaging in community service, participating in peace-building initiatives, and advocating for social justice. Speaking out against injustice, discrimination, and violence, and supporting policies and leaders who prioritize peace are ways that individuals can contribute to the collective responsibility for peace. Additionally, individuals have a responsibility to educate themselves about global issues and to develop an awareness of how their actions impact others, both locally and globally. This includes being mindful of the products we buy, the media we consume, and the leaders we support. Each decision we make has the potential to contribute to either peace or conflict. By making choices that promote sustainability, equality, and fairness, individuals can contribute to a more peaceful world. In conclusion, peace is not the responsibility of any single group or institution. It is a collective effort that requires the participation of governments, international organizations, communities, and individuals. And from political leaders to ordinary citizens, everyone has a role to play in promoting peace, resolving conflicts, and building a more just and equitable world. By recognizing peace as a shared responsibility, we can create a world where cooperation, understanding, and compassion prevail over violence and division. Through collective action, we can make peace a reality, ensuring a better future for generations to come. The urgency of choosing peace in today's world cannot be overstated. The challenges facing humanity are unprecedented, from the rise of violent conflicts and political instability to the existential threats posed by nuclear weapons and climate change. In an increasingly interconnected world, the consequences of war and conflict no longer remain confined to the borders of the nations involved. The ripple effects of violence, instability, and displacement spread across continents, impacting global security, the economy, and the environment. The stakes have never been higher, and the choice between war and peace is not just a moral or ethical one, it is a decision that will determine the future of humanity. One of the most pressing reasons for choosing peace is the destructive power of modern warfare. The advancements in military technology have made the potential for destruction far greater than at any point in history. The development of nuclear weapons, chemical and biological agents, and advanced conventional weapons means that a large-scale war in the modern era could lead to catastrophic consequences for the entire planet. The world has witnessed the horrors of nuclear devastation in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the mere existence of these weapons continues to pose an existential threat to humanity. The use of nuclear weapons in any future conflict would not only result in massive loss of life, but also trigger long-term environmental consequences, including nuclear fallout, radiation poisoning, and potentially triggering a nuclear winter, which could threaten all life on Earth. Beyond the threat of nuclear war, conventional warfare itself has become increasingly lethal due to the use of drones, precision-guided missiles, and cyber warfare. These tools allow for the targeting of critical infrastructure, leading to devastating impacts on civilian populations. Hospitals, schools, water supplies, and power grids can be destroyed with precision, leaving populations without essential services. The humanitarian crises that result from such destruction can take decades to recover from, if recovery is possible at all. In today's world, the potential for entire regions to be destabilized, resulting in mass displacement and refugee crises, is a reality that cannot be ignored. The international community must recognize the urgent need to prevent conflicts from escalating and work to resolve disputes peacefully. The impact of war on the global economy is another reason why choosing peace is an urgent necessity. The cost of conflict extends far beyond the battlefield. War destroys infrastructure, disrupts trade, and depletes national resources. The economic burden of war is borne not only by the countries directly involved, but by the entire global economy. For instance, global supply chains are heavily dependent on stability, and even localized conflicts can cause significant disruptions. Wars in key regions can lead to skyrocketing oil prices, food shortages, and financial instability. Furthermore, the cost of rebuilding after conflict is astronomical, often diverting resources away from essential services like health care, education, and poverty reduction. In addition to the economic damage, wars create a cycle of poverty and inequality that is difficult to break. In conflict zones, children often lose access to education, and families are driven into poverty as their homes and livelihoods are destroyed. The long-term impact on a nation's development can be devastating, as entire generations are left without the skills and opportunities needed to rebuild their communities. For countries that are already struggling with poverty and underdevelopment, war can set back progress by decades. Even wealthy nations experience significant economic strain during prolonged conflicts, as military spending often takes priority over social programs and infrastructure development. The social and psychological costs of war further underscore the need for peace. The trauma inflicted by conflict leaves deep scars on individuals, families, and societies. For those who survive war, the psychological impact can be profound. Soldiers often return home with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, depression, and other mental health issues. Civilians, particularly children who have lived through the horrors of war, often left with lasting trauma that affects their ability to lead normal lives. The long-term effects of war can lead to an increase in mental health disorders, domestic violence, and substance abuse, further destabilizing societies that are already fragile. War also creates a culture of fear and distrust that can take generations to overcome. In post-conflict societies, the road to reconciliation is often long and difficult. Deep-seated grievances and hostilities can lead to cycles of revenge and retaliation, making it hard for societies to move forward. In contrast, peace creates the space for healing, dialogue, and understanding. It allows for the rebuilding of relationships, the restoration of trust, and the creation of a shared vision for the future. Without peace, the wounds of war remain open, and the likelihood of future conflict increases. Climate change adds another layer of urgency to the need for peace. As the planet continues to warm, resources such as water, arable land, and food become scarcer, increasing the potential for conflict over these vital resources. Environmental degradation exacerbated by war compounds the problem, as deforestation, soil erosion, and pollution destroy ecosystems that are already under pressure from climate change. In a world where millions of people are already vulnerable to food and water shortages, war makes an already precarious situation worse. Conflicts over resources are likely to increase in frequency and intensity as the effects of climate change become more severe. Therefore, choosing peace is not just about avoiding the direct costs of war. It is about ensuring that humanity has the capacity to address global challenges like climate change cooperatively and effectively. Furthermore, the urgency of choosing peace is about safeguarding human rights and dignity. War is often accompanied by egregious violations of human rights, including war crimes, genocide, and ethnic cleansing. In times of conflict, the most vulnerable populations, women, children, the elderly, and minorities, are often the ones who suffer the most. Choosing peace means choosing to protect these vulnerable groups, ensuring that their rights are upheld and that they are not subjected to the horrors of violence, displacement, and exploitation. Choosing peace also offers a pathway to addressing global inequality. Inequality is both a cause and a consequence of conflict. In many cases, wars are sparked by deep-seated grievances related to economic and social inequality. But addressing these underlying issues through peaceful means such as diplomacy, negotiation, and international cooperation is far more effective and sustainable than attempting to resolve them through violence. By choosing peace, the international community can focus its efforts on addressing the root causes of inequality and promoting social justice rather than perpetuating a cycle of violence and retribution. In conclusion, the urgency of choosing peace has never been clearer. The destructive power of modern warfare, the economic costs, the social and psychological toll, and the existential threats posed by nuclear weapons and climate change all point to the necessity of prioritizing peace over conflict. Choosing peace is not just a moral imperative, it is a practical necessity for the survival and prosperity of humanity. As global challenges become more complex and interconnected, the need for peaceful solutions becomes more urgent. It is only through peace that we can create a future where all people can live with dignity, security, and opportunity. The choice is clear, and the time to act is now.